So good day guys, I'm Romer Justin M. Celestial, and today I will be discussing civil engineering code of ethics and obligations. So, civil engineer. Civil engineer create, improve, and protect the environment in which we live. They plan, design, and oversee construction and maintenance of building structures. We can say that civil engineer really has an important role in our community, and with this big role, big responsibility comes with it. Code of ethics. These are guidelines adopted by organizations to help members in understanding the difference between right and wrong and in applying that understanding to their decisions. So, what is the importance of ethics in engineering profession? Engineering ethics is the study of moral values, issues, and decisions involved in engineering practice. These moral values take many forms, including responsibility, ideal character traits, social policies, relationship desirable for individuals, and corporation engaged in technological development. Engineering ethics should be studied because it is important both in preventing grave consequences of faulty ethical reasoning and in giving meaning to engineers' endeavors. There are 6 fundamental canons in engineers to follow for the fulfillment of their professional duties. Civil engineers follow the fundamental canons of ethics as guidelines to practice in their profession. Fundamental canons talks about the central importance of exhibiting honesty and integrity. It helps engineers to ensure the quality and standard services to give for all people's lives. First, civil engineers shall hold paramount safety, health, and welfare of the public, and shall strive to comply with the principle of sustainable development in the performance of their duties. Safety of the public before anything else. If engineers' judgment is overruled under the circumstances, the endangered life or property, they should notify their employee or client and such other authority as may be appropriate. Second fundamental canons is engineers shall perform services only in the area of their competence or area of their expertise. An engineer shall undertake assignments only when qualified by education or experience in the specific technical fields involved. Engineers shall not affix their signature to any plans or documents dealing with subject matter in which they lack competence, nor to any plan or documents not prepared under their direction and control. Third fundamental canon is engineer shall issue public statement only in an objective and truthful manner. An engineer should never lie. Engineers shall be objective and truthful in professional reports, statements, or testimony. They shall include all relevant and pertinent information in such reports, statement, or testimony, which should bear the date indicating when it was current. Engineer may express publicly technical opinions that are founded upon knowledge, but it should be based on facts and competence in the subject matter. Fourth fundamental canon is engineers shall act for each employer or client as faithful agent and trustees. Engineers shall disclose all known or potential conflicts of interest that could influence or appear to influence their judgment or the quality of their services. Engineers shall not accept compensation, financial or otherwise, from more than one party for services on the same project or for services pertaining to the same project, unless the circumstances are fully disclosed and agreed by all interested parties. Fifth fundamental canon is engineers shall avoid deceptive acts. Engineers shall not falsify their qualification or permit misinterpretation of their associate's qualification. They shall not misinterpret or exaggerate their responsibility in or for the subject matter of prior assignments. Sixth fundamental canon is engineers should conduct themselves honorably, responsibly, ethically, and lawfully so as to enhance the honor, reputation, and usefulness of the professions. And now, obligations of a civil engineer. Obligations is something one must do because of law, agreement, promises, and etc. As a member of civil engineering profession, one must follow such obligations. There are 9 set rules of being a member of civil engineering are obliged to follow. First rule is engineers shall be guided in all their relations by the highest standard of honesty and integrity. An engineer shall acknowledge their errors and shall not distort or alter the facts. An engineer shall treat all the persons with dignity, respect, fairness, and without discriminations. Second rule is engineers shall at all times strive to serve the public interest. An engineer are encouraged to participate in civic affairs, career guidance for youths, and works for the advancement of the safety, health, and well-being of the community. An engineer shall not complete, sign, or seal plans and or specifications that are in conformity with applicable engineering standards. If the client or employer insists in such an unprofessional conduct, they shall notify the proper authorities and withdraw from further service of the project. Third is engineers shall avoid all conducts or practice that deceives the public. An engineer shall avoid the use of statements containing material misinterpretation of fact or omitting material fact. The fourth rule is engineers shall not disclose without consent confidential information concerning the business affairs or technical process of any present or former client or employer or public body in which they serve. An engineer shall not without consent of all interested parties promote or arrange for new employment or practice in connection with the specific project for which the engineer has gained particular and specialized knowledge. The fifth rule is an engineer shall not be influenced in their professional duties by conflicting interests. An engineer shall not accept financial or other consideration, including free engineering designs from materials or equipment suppliers for specifying their products. The sixth rule is engineers shall not attempt to obtain employment or advancement or professional engagement by untruthfully criticizing other engineer or by other improper or questionable methods. An engineer shall not request, propose, or accept a commission on containing contingent basis under circumstances in which their judgment may be compromised. The seventh rule is an engineer shall not attempt to injure maliciously or falsely, directly or indirectly, the professional reputation, prospects, practice, or employment of other engineers. Engineer who believes others are guilty of unethical or illegal practice shall present such information to the proper authority for action. An engineer in private practice shall not review the work of another engineer for the same client, except with the knowledge of such engineer, or unless the connection of such engineer with work has been terminated. Eighth rule is engineers shall accept personal responsibility for their professional activities, provided, however, the engineers may seek identification for services arising out of their practice for other than gross negligence, where engineers' interests cannot be otherwise be protected. An engineer shall conform with state registration laws in the practice of engineering. Ninth rule is engineers shall give credit for engineering work to those whom credit is due and will recognize the proprietary interest of others. Engineers shall, whenever possible, name the person or person who may be individually responsible for the design, invention, writing, or other accomplishments. Engineers design, data, records, and notes referring exclusive to an employer's work are the employer's property. The employer should identify the engineer for use of the information for any purposes other than the original purpose. To understand further about Civil Engineering Code of Ethics and Obligations, I will present you an example. One great example of this fundamental canon is the building of Citicorp Center, standing at Manhattan, New York, built in 1977. It's an iconic building for its unique design because of the positioning of its major columns. It was built by a well-known engineer named William Lemesurier, and then one day, an undergraduate student named Diane Hartley doing her thesis and studying about the Citicorp Center came up with a question to Lemesurier. The question was about a wind load case scenario Lemesurier didn't think of, and with this, Lemesurier realized his mistake and quickly came up with a solution. So this is the Windload case that Diane Hartley present. Quietly at night for 3 months, he fixed his mistake and didn't tell the public what's going on. Take note, the building is functioning and people go and work there. And this story was not made public for 20 years. Today, some criticizes the measure for not telling the public what's going on. What if someone copies his idea of design not knowing its faults because he decided to not tell the public? We should remember that what we create as an engineer could save a person's life or take it away. Imagine not knowing that the building you're standing might fall anytime. According to records, structure failure could have led death to 200,000 people. The public has a right to know what's going on so they can plan accordingly. If you don't release a statement or put ones that misleading, you're denying people the right to ensure their own safety and make their own educated decisions. An engineer should be aware that in the end of the day, we are human beings and we can make mistakes. A civil engineer should be ready to accept his mistakes and should be ready to learn from others. Human as we are, we commit mistakes. All we can do is try, and with a strong code of ethics at our side and knowledge of the past at our backs, we can make the best, most informed decisions to ensure our design have the best possible impact.